All this talk of the Wii U and PlayStation 4 takes me back to the first big console change for many gamers, the dawn of the 16-bit era. Don't get me wrong, we all loved our NESs and, yes, Sega Master Systems. But we knew from arcades that video games could be a lot stronger graphically. 16-bit games could get us a lot closer to perfect arcade ports. Plus, beloved franchises like Mario, Metroid, and The Legend of Zelda use the boost in graphics and sound to take their gameplay to a higher level. What did this mean for WWF fans? Well, WWF games on the NES were far from classics, but still, you had to be excited for a 16-bit game, especially when the cover of Nintendo Power featured Hulk Hogan dropping a big leg on Earthquake while clutching an NES controller in his hand. And we got our first taste of this brave new world with LJN's Super Wrestlemania for the SNES, released in February 1992. Curiously, the Genesis version didn't come out for a few months later. It would have some pretty substantial differences from its SNES cousin. More on that in a second. Anyway, start up the Super Nintendo, and you're treated to a nice screenshot of Hulk Hogan, followed by a gorgeous character selection screen with digitized photos of 10 wrestlers. Hogan, Savage, DiBiase, Jake, Sid, Undertaker, and some actual tag teams in the form of the LOD and Natural Disasters. The presentation is great as well. The perspective is a traditional sideways view, basically out of pro wrestling. You have a nice detailed crowd, and Vince and Bobby Heenan doing commentary. The Fink even does introductions. The game has singles, tag team, and Survivor Series mode. Survivor Series is very well done. 4-on-4 matchup, and you can cycle through who you want to tag in on the apron. Easily the most fun thing in the game. The game also lets you choose difficulty between easy, medium, and hard. A great way to get acclimated to the game, and also add some replay value to beat the computer on a harsher difficulty. And hallelujah, they go with the traditional grappling system. Tap A to grapple, and another button to do a move. Suplexes, body slams, etc. Maybe we shouldn't applaud LJN for just copying an old control scheme that had been around for many years, especially since they moved to a more powerful system, and a controller with more buttons, but I'm just glad to have a playable WWF console game at this point. Any nitpicks? Well, the sound isn't too great. The ref just counts as pinfalls, and the wrestlers all make the same weird grunting noise. There's no storyline mode either, just exhibitions, which is weird. We don't need elaborate stories, just the usual beat all the other guys to win mode would have been fine. Also, the wrestlers all have the same moves. Yeah, seriously, no leg drop or tombstone or DDT or anything. Outside of appearances, no difference in one wrestler over another. I couldn't believe this when I heard it, and it still bothers me 20 years later. The earliest video games realized different wrestlers should have different moves. Even earlier LJN games did that. Would they figure with prettier graphics no one would notice? Again, they did not have focus groups back then? Had they called me up, I would have said, I think you forgot to give everyone their finishers. Also, I would have pushed for complete movesets, taunting, instant replay jobbers, and create a wrestler. Moves would have been a priority. Look, we were playing WrestleFest at the time. This wasn't going to cut it. Anyway, Super Wrestlemania on the Genesis came a bit later. It was actually quite a bit different. The roster shrunk from 10 to 8, and the only carryovers were Hogan, Savage, and DiBiase. Joining them were Warrior, Bulldog, Papa Shango, IRS, and Shawn Michaels. Some changes I get, like Sid and Jake, since they left the company in early 1992. But where's The Undertaker? And where's Bret Hart for that matter? He was well established as a singles when this game came out. If Shawn Michaels as a single wrestler is here, I don't know where Bret is. Although it doesn't look as good as its Super Nintendo counterpart, the Genesis version does add finishers to the game. Well, finishers isn't completely accurate. You can do your special moves at any time during the match. Want to start with a Papa Shango shoulder breaker? Hey, go for it. Some of the special moves just look weird. I know Hulk Hogan invented Kofi Kingston's boom drop. The British Bulldog's power slam just looks like a body slam followed by an immediate cover. What the hell is Shawn Michaels doing? He was using the teardrop suplex at the time, and I swear someone just wrote down his finisher was a side suplex, and some hapless programmer decided, well, he must just suplex the guy on his side. Ted DiBiase has a $1 million dream. You have to send a guy into the ropes, and then wait until they run past you before you can hook it on. But nitpicking aside, it's very satisfying to hit someone with a special move before going for the pin. Since the SNES had a 6-button controller, you only have to tap one button to do a move. But since the Genesis only had 3 buttons, that meant sometimes having to hit B and C to do a move, rather than just B as on the Super Nintendo. It's a little annoying, but you get used to it quick. Super Wrestlemania was easily the best WWF home video game at this point, but it's still frustrating in their own way. Thankfully, most of the wrinkles were ironed out in the next edition, but that's for the next arcade. Until then, thanks for watching, and remember, a winner is you.